Welcome to the Special Explainer. Today, we're decoding the complete goat feed formula. From newborns all the way up to mature adults, we're going to solve that daily feeding confusion once and for all. Let's get right into it.
Here's how we're breaking it down today. We'll start with newborn kid care, move on to pregnant and adult goats, break down the famous 40-30-30 formula, look at how milk and weather tie in, cover 5 absolute fatal mistakes, and finally, reveal your master feeding chart.
Starting right off with Section 1, Newborn Kid Care. You know that the first hour after birth is literally make or break, right? Well, the golden rule here is the 10% rule. Within those crucial first 12 to 24 hours, a newborn kid has to get colostrum, that thick, rich first milk from the mother, equal to 10% of its body weight. So if you've got a 3-kilo kid, they absolutely need 300 grams of it. Think of this as their very first vaccine. Without it, they're just going to struggle with weakness their entire life. Now, if the doe isn't producing enough milk, don't panic. You can easily step in with a milk replacer. Just mix 135 grams of powder into a liter of warm water and give them that 4 to 6 times a day. Once they hit 2 weeks old, you'll want to introduce an 18% protein starter feed plus just a tiny bit of green fodder to help get their rumen working. Fast forward to 10 or 12 weeks, when they're sitting around 12 to 15 kilos, they should be fully weaned. But here's the catch. You've got to keep their grain intake strictly between 100 and 200 grams. Push it past that, and you'll end up wrecking their developing digestion.
Moving right along to Section 2, pregnant and adult goats.
There's a massive difference between maintaining a normal adult goat and caring for one in the last 45 days of pregnancy. That final month and a half is when fetal growth just takes off. Because of that, you urgently need to bump up their feed volume by 25%. We're talking a specialized diet here. 14 to 16% protein, strictly balanced calcium and phosphorus, and this is a big one, absolutely no moldy or rotting fodder. Seriously, bad fodder is a direct trigger for miscarriages, so do not risk it.
All right, Section 3, the 40-30-30 feed formula. If you're looking to cut your commercial feed costs in half while actually getting better results right at home, this is your golden ticket. It's the 40-30-30 ratio. You start with 40% maize to give them massive energy, then add 30% chana or chuni for that crucial protein hit, and top it off with 30% mustard or soybean cake for rich nutrients. But the real secret sauce? The additives. Mix in 2% mineral mixture, 1% rock salt, and throw in some baking soda and Himalayan batisa every now and then. These super cheap additions are total game changers for preventing deadly bloat and keeping their gut health bulletproof. But listen, grain isn't everything. A healthy goat eats about 4% of its body weight every single day, and how you split that volume is incredibly important. A massive 65% of their daily diet has to be dry fodder. That is completely non-negotiable. If you try to feed them mostly green fodder, you're asking for fatal diarrhea. The rest of the diet breaks down to 20% of that awesome grain mix we just talked about and 15% fresh green fodder. Next up, Section 4, milk and weather impact. Want a real insider trick for your milking goats? Assuming they're getting their standard 400 to 600 grams of grain and 2 to 3 kilos of green fodder a day, it really all comes down to timing. Feed them their grain exactly 30 minutes before you start milking. This simple hack significantly increases their milk letdown flow, and you'll definitely see a noticeable boost in your overall daily yield. You also have to pivot your strategy as the seasons change. In the scorching summer, you want to feed early in the morning or late in the evening to dodge that midday heat, and make sure they get water 4 times a day. Winter is a whole different ballgame. They actually need way more dry fodder because the act of digesting it acts like an internal furnace to generate body heat. Also in winter, exclusively offer lukewarm water. If they drink freezing cold water, it'll instantly shut down their delicate gut digestion.
That brings us to Section 5, 5 fatal mistakes. These are the absolute deal breakers that can wipe out a perfectly healthy flock overnight, so please avoid them at all costs. Number 1. Never feed them potato peels. They actually contain toxins. Number 2, no sudden drastic feed changes. It kills off the good gut bacteria way too fast. Number 3, keep dirty or stagnant water out of your troughs. Number 4, like we mentioned earlier, keep moldy fodder miles away from your animals. And number 5, absolutely do not underestimate the power of hanging mineral blocks in their pens. They need those trace minerals.
And finally, Section 6, the master feeding chart.
You might want to take a screenshot of this one to structure your day perfectly. At 7 a.m., hit them with grain on an empty stomach for a nice energy boost. An hour later, at 8 a.m., offer fresh water. At 9 a.m., bring in the mixed dry and green fodder. Then let them rest and chew their cud until noon, when you'll give them some mineral-enriched water. Fast forward to 5 p.m. for their second grain feeding, followed by evening fodder at 7 p.m. Finally, right before you call it a night at 10 p.m., leave a dry fodder snack in their trough. That way, they can peacefully ruminate all night long. So I'll leave you with this to chew on. Take a hard look at your farm today and look closely at your troughs. Are your goats truly getting the structured, precision nutrition they deserve? Or are you kind of leaving their health and your profits up to chance? Implement this master schedule starting today and just watch how your flock transforms. Thanks for joining me on this explainer.